Assalamu alaikum, everyone. How are you? And welcome to Let's Talk Chatter That Matters. My name is Sadaf Patel, and I'm the Prevention Education Director at An-Nisa Hope Center. And today I have with me Dr. Ketam Hamdan, our Mental Health Director. Dr. Hamdan, can you please introduce yourself?
Thank you for having me. I'm the mental health director at An-Nisa, and I'm happy to be here today to talk to you about a very important topic. That's toxic love, something
Yes.
that
We
impacts
feel a lot of.
more of us than we actually realize.
That is so true. And that's why I really am so excited that you're here to teach us about it and help us become aware of what it is and what we can do to help get away from it.
Mhm.
So, what is toxic love?
That's a great question. So toxic love is people assume that it's just all bad, when in reality, toxic love is really about, there's actually a lot of emotional highs and emotional lows. It's the combination of both that keeps people confused and stuck in this cycle ongoing.
So, like, what does it look like?
So a great example would look like someone in the beginning who's praising you and saying how amazing you are, and then, a week later they're basically criticizing you and putting you down. So they call it cognitive dissonance. It creates this confusion in your brain of like, wait a minute, one minute they're telling me all these great things about me, and then the next minute they're like critiquing me and putting me down. So it leaves you in a state of confusion, and then the brain kind of hangs on to those good moments of the emotional high, thinking, okay, well, maybe they're just having a bad day, and you kind of make excuses for them. That's kind of one example.
So, like, what are different signs or red flags that you can notice? I mean, is it like when somebody does that kind of toxic love, which you're saying, say good stuff and then bad stuff, is it like a mental health issue with them, or is it just what they've acquired or what they've learned? Like, what is
So
it?
there's two parts to it. Number one, the one that people always talk to, and the social media has made more common, is something called love bombing. And love bombing is, so there's the actual person who's giving, where they're actually just showering the person with love. They're being, very flowery with their words. They're doing all the right things, everything that you could dream of. And then there's the person who's the recipient, who's just like, oh my God, this is like my dream come true. My knight in shining armor has finally arrived. So that's the receiver. So it's like both people are kind of, there's one that's doing, now are they purposely doing it and being manipulative? I would love to say yes, but in reality, it's an unconscious process for most people. That's the way they've learned, and they usually have unhealthy patterns that have kind of fed them.
So do you think like growing up, like their parenting was like that, or
I mean
they were
so the person that's receiving it is probably, that's what they noticed when they were younger as children, is that they might have gotten that hot and cold from their mom and dad. So it feels quite familiar. But even in the beginning, that's not what's keeping them attached, is this flood of just love. So usually they're deprived of that attention and love. So the person receiving it now is like, oh my God, this just feels so good. This is what I've always wanted. Someone who's buying me flowers, someone who's buying me gifts, someone who always wants to be with me, someone who's telling me everything under the sun, someone who's picking up my phone calls, who's responding to my message. I mean, they're doing all the right things in the beginning. Now, here's the red flag. It's too good to be true. Because if you find yourself saying this is too good to be true, that's a red flag. Because when it's all of this in one flood, like literally a flood, it's like within the first 3 days or a week, you're like head over heels.
Wouldn't it be sometimes people trying to woo that person?
Yes, but usually with the wooing should be consistent. And with anything, consistency is sustainable.
Yeah.
Versus kind of just, it's like that addictive.
Hot and cold.
Yes. Well, it's just a flood at the beginning. And in a lot of relationships, what I see, that's why they become addicted to the relationship, because they keep holding on to that beginning of the relationship where things were just amazing, hoping things would go back to that. And that's where the addiction cycle stays on board, because then what happens is if you pull away, because now they've love bombed you, they've sang your praises, et cetera, made you fall in love with them. And then the degrading and the criticism starts. And then if you start pulling away, guess what happens? They're like, uh-oh, I got to get this person back. So then they'll repeat the cycle again.
Sort of like bipolar disorder in a way, right?
Well,
like
bipolar is a little bit different. Yeah, because bipolar is that it's not as 1, 2, 3. Bipolar is just, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I'm understanding from toxic love is that it's initially there's a lot of love bombing, and then they take it away.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like suddenly, they're criticizing you, they're, talking badly about you. They're sort of playing with your mental health in a way, right?
Or they might
And
be
it goes
controlling you.
back and forth. So it goes
And they'll
back
try to control you. So they'll tell you, I don't want you to go out. I don't
Yeah.
want you to spend time with this. And so there is an element of people are like, is it abuse? It can have elements of abuse in it.
Yeah, that's
where they try to control you. There's power and control does take place.
Mm.
So the best way to think of it is it's like a yo-yo or like a push-pull.
Yes.
It's like you're in, you're out. And some people get addicted to that cycle because, if you are not growing up, you did not receive love consistently in a healthy manner. Didn't see your parents have a healthy relationship. It was kind of hot and cold. When you actually experience that in adulthood, in an adult relationship,
you think it's normal.
Exactly.
But like, what about things like if they track your, if they have your location or they want to know who you're hanging out with or where you're going, because they say that they love you so much, they just want to make sure you're safe, right? They say it's for safety reasons.
Yeah, I mean, if my thing on that, if it's mutual, then that's okay. So if they're asking for your location and you ask them for their location, it's mutual, then I don't see any shame in that. If anything, I feel like, it's healthy. There's an element of trust that's built there. But if it's one way and it's a double standard, then that's usually a red flag.
That makes sense.
So the double standard is what I would pay attention to more about if they're asking you to do something that they themselves won't do, that's a red flag.
Yes. What other red flags are there?
The other one is, you start to kind of change who you are to kind of fit who they want you to be. They start kind of like chipping away at your character and say like, why are you dressing this way? Or I don't like your hair this way. And it comes off very subtle, but over time. And then the other thing is like, if you're very happy and you start noticing that the light in you, like your friends are like, you're not the same person. Is everything okay?
Yeah.
That's usually because it doesn't happen. It's not so obvious a lot of times. A lot of times it just chips away at your character slowly. It's a very slow process.
And that's why people don't realize that it's happening.
Yeah. And because then the addictive cycle starts again, because then they go from being kind of mean to almost like then they become like this saint. So it's like this seesaw back and forth. And that confuses you. And we'll make excuses for it. And think like, well, maybe
he's having a bad day, or they're having trouble at work, or different.
They got in a fight with their boss, or they didn't get the promotion they want. You start justifying their behavior and overlooking it. The other thing too is that if you find yourself over apologizing, and you do something wrong, but you don't they make you feel like you've done something wrong. You're apologizing, but you really don't think it's wrong. The best thing I tell people is trust your gut, and unfortunately, though, the problem is you can't trust your gut if what you're seeing is familiar to you. You're going to normalize it.
But a lot of times people think, like women especially, think that if he has it in him to love me the way he did, then I can change him back.
Yes.
Like, okay, he's having bad days, but I can make that more permanent. Like, you feel like you can change that person. What do you think about that?
That's so because it's called cognitive dissonance. Okay. Cognitive dissonance, the brain can't hold two realities. And if the first reality you had with this person is heaven and greatness, it's going to hold on to that reality more than the second reality of this person.
So you don't accept the
So and both and learning for the brain to hold two realities. It doesn't want to. Our brains are lazy. They actually does not want to work. It takes a mature mind to kind of like say, no, wait a minute. Yes, he was great in the beginning. And there's 1, 2, 3 that's been quite destructive. That actually takes a lot of brain power, and it takes someone to kind of be consciously aware of that. So the holding on to hope isn't the brain's way of holding on to that other reality of like Mr. Romeo or the perfect partner. The one other thing too is that why people mistaken chaos for love.
Oh, that's interesting. That's deep.
Yeah. And in the terms of like, it's like if things are not chaotic, it's actually quite boring. And they'll be like, oh, there's no chemistry.
Oh.
My mom used to go crazy. I'd be like, Mom, there's no chemistry.
I know exactly what she feels like. I say that to my kids too. Like, and there's no such thing as chemistry.
And my obsession with brain science made me realize that chemistry is actually, it's not a heart thing. It's actually a brain thing.
Oh.
So the methamphetamine is literally like a drug. Okay, a methamphetamine is a type of the neuroamphetamine is just the actual fancy word. Your brain releases that chemical, okay, and the dopamine and the oxytocin, which makes you feel like you have chemistry. it's actually released when you notice in this person the unhealthy traits that you didn't get as a kid. So let's just say as a kid, you didn't get attention from your parents, or your father didn't say, I love you, and they were more critical. I hate to say this, and I was shocked when I learned this, and I had to like even verify it by the person who kind of documented this. Only when you have those same traits in the person you're with will you actually have chemistry.
So the same, like never saying I love you, or
Yes, because the brain says, let me right the wrongs of the past by attracting somebody who has those same traits in hopes that I can fix them in the present and now heal all my old baggage.
But does it? Does it heal?
Well,
It makes it worse, right?
Well, because unless you and him are both people are going to therapy, and the person recognizes that's a wound and tries to step up to be a better person. No,
Yeah.
absolutely not. Just you re-wound the person.
Exactly.
So, and then people will they call it, your imago. You actually search for a person with those unhealthy traits. That's what causes the chemistry.
Wow.
Yes, I know. It's toxic.
That is deep, and it's toxic.
Because love, the concept of being in a relationship is an unconscious process. It's not conscious. How many times have you seen somebody that will go to speed dating and they'll list all the character traits that they want? Right?
Yeah.
That's a front lobe,
Yeah.
front brain process. Actually makes you attracted to somebody is not a conscious process. It's a subconscious or unconscious process that's by the emotional part of the brain, which is in the back of the head.
So how do you like bypass? How do you ensure that you don't do something like that?
Well, first and foremost, you have to understand what unconscious traits you're attracted to. So, look,
like self-awareness.
I might
right?
sound like I'm, really intelligent and I know all this. I will tell you, I learned all this because of my own experiences. I was super smart in school and the girl that everyone thought knew everything. But when it came to relationships, if he was toxic, I was attracted to it. And I wanted to figure out.
Because he'd seen that growing up?
Yeah, because I grew up in a Middle Eastern family and
Yes.
love him to death, but
they see families are the same.
So unfortunately, like if a guy showered me with attention, it literally what they have found is there's a neurochemical it releases that impairs your judgment because you're getting everything that you need, that you actually shut your eyes off to all the other negative stuff.
So chemically, your judgment actually
is impaired. It's like putting a blinder. Yeah. Wow. So what I've learned is that when I became aware,
so it's not our fault in a way.
No, it's not. But it is your fault. It is your responsibility to figure out why and heal it.
Yes.
And that's what I actually, I remember like as 21 years old, I committed to healing myself because I didn't want to go through that heartache and pain again. It was too painful.
But for, to take that responsibility, you have to become aware first. Right?
Because I want to understand it. I mean, you go, and that's where they say, like, your pain becomes, the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. Like, it forced me to really learn about myself and, like, why the hell was I attracted? Like, everybody could see that this person was toxic for me. Mm-hmm. I couldn't.
Yes, I've seen that all the time. I've seen that.
And he showers with me, and he would spend so much time with me. He would do all the right things for me. At the time I was applying to grad school, he would help me with my personal essays. He'd do everything. But I saw this other behavior in terms of like he was inconsistent in terms of like, I wouldn't hear from him at night, or if I was working late and I'd come home, he wouldn't kind of worry if I got home late.
Yeah.
I would kind of see things from other girls on his phone. But I was like, I'd make excuses for it. It puts blinders on because I was just, as long as he was giving me attention, that's all that mattered.
And you, because you're a therapist, you're a psychologist, you became aware.
Yes.
But like for the normal person, like that doesn't know about this, we really don't understand. And that's why you see divorces at a later age, at such a high rate because you can't live with that toxic love for long, right?
Or if you do live with it, it's not very happy.
You're not, exactly. Because you can't, you think you found what you need because your judgment's impaired. This makes so much sense now.
Yeah. And I will tell you though, just because you're aware of it doesn't mean that that you won't attract it. So I will tell you, like the next, guy that I met, here's the difference. When you're conscious, you actually, it doesn't have the same hold on you. So then I would know like, oh, I actually like this guy because he's giving me attention, but let me make sure everything else is kind of okay. Whereas before it was just like, as long as he's giving me attention, nothing else matters. Yes. So that's where it's important to make.
So you can bring your logical mind into it
because you understand now what's been like before it was like your amygdala is taking over the emotional part of your brain and nothing else matters. But now it's like your amygdala is still taking over, but there's some capacity to engage the frontal lobe to actually see, okay, what does this guy have everything else in place?
So this brings us into like, what can we do?
Yes, so they call it more conscious love, as opposed to in order to get away from toxic love, you have to become more conscious, but conscious of yourself first and foremost.
And isn't that for everything? Mm-hmm. Like even living conscious lives, right? Yeah. Like even if you decide that you want to be a better human being, or you want to do better towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or whatever you're doing, you have to be conscious about it. So just like that, we don't let ourselves just use our hearts in that sense that okay, yes, I love him, he's the best or whatever. We have to be conscious, right? Like are these, yes, he's bombing me with all of this love, but does he have the other qualities that I need, or is this consistent? And can you have those conversations with them, with the guy, with the person, or guy or girl?
I mean, it depends on how unhealed they are and how open they are to growing. Can you change a toxic love to a healthy relationship? Mm-hmm. Absolutely, if both, not one,
are willing, yes.
Both parties are willing to get the help they need, because otherwise it's just going to still continue to be an unequal relationship where one person's growing and the other person's still just doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they have to really love you enough to be wanting to change.
But and actually love themselves. Like you want them to do it for themselves first and foremost, because there's something within themselves that needs to kind of be repaired.
And it'll show up in other relationships.
Absolutely.
Yes. And it's not only romantic relationships, it can also be in like parenting relationships. So, okay, so this was really informative. I had no idea. Wow. Judgment impaired, unconscious love, like unknowingly we get into these situations because we're emulating what we got when we were children. Wow. Amazing. So is this all that you can do about it? What else can you do about it when you realize you're in a toxic relationship, or when you are thinking this is what's happening? How do you, not fix it, but how do you come out of it?
One of the ways is that a lot of times when we're in these relationships, we don't talk to other people about it. And that perpetuates the cycle even longer. Because, and I remember like with my own experience talking to my sister, and she said something to me that woke me up, and she's like, you're starting to see the abnormal as normal, and that's scaring me. And I was like,
because she cared about you.
And so like, for example, if that he was talking to other girls, even though like, I was in the picture and we were supposed to be getting engaged. So I'm like, she's like, and I was like, oh my God, that's so true. Like any other time, if a friend came and told me like, hey, the guy that's going to get engaged to me is talking to other girls, I would have been like, you're crazy. But,
right.
But the fact that I couldn't even see that,
because your judgment was impaired.
Because my judgment was impaired, and I was seeing the abnormal as I was normal, just because he was watering me, he was like showering me with attention.
So when she said that, did it make you like think consciously?
That's what I'm saying. So when you are ready to kind of address things, you will be then ready to discuss it with others, and then they'll a lot of times we don't share with others because we're not ready to accept the reality. So that don't take it personal if someone ever hides something from you. It's something, as much as we want to believe we're important, we're really not. Okay? People don't share things with us because they're not ready to deal with reality. So I highly encourage people, if something feels uncomfortable, don't wait until it's 1,000% uncomfortable. Like talk it out loud, because we like to emotionally process things right out loud.
Yeah.
So I would say sooner than later, talk to somebody and process it.
And on the other side, if you see somebody, your friend who's, but you said the light's going out of them, or you see that they're taking the abnormal as normal, you step up and say it to them. Don't think that, it's not my place.
But I will tell you though, because my sister in the beginning did tell me like, no, this guy's no good for you. Guess what I did?
Ignored her?
I stopped telling her things. So it's like, it's a,
it's a catch-22.
Yes. But when I actually opened up to her, then when she said something to me, I was actually ready to take her feedback.
But even though you stopped telling her things, whatever she told you did stick in your head.
Yes.
Right? Like if you consider somebody a good friend.
It marinates, kind of. Truth marinates.
Even at the risk of them like being upset with you or stopping to tell you, at least if you feel something, you should let somebody know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, I always tell her like she's the tough love, and then she doesn't hear from me a couple of days. I'm like, I don't want to hear your truth.
And we didn't meet someone like that, right, in our lives.
So yes, I mean, when you care about someone, it doesn't matter if they accept it or not. You give them that truth, in hopes it's going to plant a seed.
And does it can like toxicity, like this kind of toxic love, be in friendships too?
Yes,
or is it just
absolutely?
Mostly, I've seen it because I feel like I've seen a lot of toxic friendships now, especially with social media and not having that physical closeness anymore.
Yeah, the 3 things that I would tell you in terms of how to heal. Number 1 actually is go no contact.
Okay.
Because if you're trying to get away from this person, they will do something to manipulate you and get you back into the picture and make you question yourself.
So, but do you tell them that I'm not? I mean, I'm just
yeah, if
done
you're
with
breaking
this,
it,
and then
at least they say minimum of 3 weeks.
Okay.
If you can, because the brain has a funny way of tricking us. And the other thing too is that when you have that distance in terms of space, they say the mountain becomes clearer from afar. When you're away from something, you can actually see it a lot clearer. But as long as you're in it, you don't see the whole picture.
Yeah.
So number one, go non-contact. Number two, feel the pain. It's painful.
Yeah.
Pretending like you're fine and you're okay, that's actually toxic.
And a lot of us do that.
And then, number three is get real about why you stayed or why you put up with that. We have to look in the mirror and really admit our weaknesses. We're so afraid to kind of admit, like I admit, I craved attention. I didn't get the love I wanted, because it wasn't, the way my parents did things. And I was desperate for love and attention. Yeah.
So understanding where that's coming from, why you were attracted to them, can help in your next relationship.
Yes.
Right. Yes. I think that's the most important. That's so important because unconsciously we don't realize that we're going after the same negative traits that we saw in our parents or in our lives. And so it's so important for us to understand why we do what we do, become aware of it, and try to heal from it.
Yes.
Right. And then maybe become better human beings in the sense that we can make better choices in who we love.
And I will end with one self-reflection question. Is if you're questioning, is this toxic or not? Is ask yourself, would you want this relationship for your sister or your best friend or for someone else? What would what would you say to someone else
who's going through
this? Because you need to see things from a third party or with some emotional distance by looking at it through someone else's eyes. So just ask yourself, like, is what you're going through, if your sister told you this, what would you say to her? Or if your friend said this to you, what would you say to her? And that will give you an insight whether or not what you're in is actually healthy or not.
Excellent. Excellent. Oh my gosh. This was so informative. The last 15 minutes have opened my mind up. Like I'm thinking of so many different relationships and things that unconsciously you don't even realize why you started them or why they're in your life. And no contact. I love that. Thank you so much, Dr. Hamdan. As usual, it's been amazing to have you and to learn from you. And we're so grateful for you. Thank you.